explain a little more about the injury? Is it a tendon or a bone?
Well, it's on the right foot. In English, it's a very short question. It's on the right foot. It's the end of the Achilles tendon. Okay? In this kind of situation, I don't think that he's going to Europe this year, maybe next year. But he will come back for sure.
Achilles tendonitis with a bone spur in the back of his foot, is that correct?
Oh yeah, I don't know very much. I don't know very well about the medical aspect. I don't know anyway. My English is limited, but I don't know many terms. But it's just the end, the point where the tendon attached to the bone. So it's almost very close to the heel. Okay, especially that's the takeoff foot. So that's when the athlete is taking off, a lot of stress on that area. It does cause the problem. No, it's no problem with the hamstring at all. The hamstring is okay. It's no problem.
It's a mark of how important and famous an athlete is, for how much physiological detail you go into. The shades of Rooney and Beckham with their four metatarsals or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jonathan Edwards was in the stadium this morning, and there's been much wailing and gnashing of teeth. What was your reaction? First of all, it was fairly obvious that he was in a lot of distress beforehand, and then obviously when he came out onto the track.
I mean, I think if it had been any other competition anywhere else in the world, he wouldn't probably even have warmed up. And I was sort of almost watching it through my hands like that. It was very emotional. This has been the story, I think, of the Beijing Games since he won in Athens in 2004. The hosts have sort of built up that narrative. The whole country was expecting him to do well. And it was just desperately, desperately sad. And I would have almost run on the truck and say, you don't have to run this. You're not going to get to the end. And I almost have visions of like a Derek Redmond type moment, where he would sort of hobble over 10 hurdles and finish just because he felt he had to. But it was, from a sporting point of view, tragic.
There were signs of the poor man's frustration just before the race. We show you this picture, where you don't actually see how that's going to actually do his foot much good, to be fair. But you can understand his frustration at that point.
You can also understand why he decided to try and go through with this, to come out. What sort of obligation do you think he felt to the Chinese people because of the height here?
I think he did, and I think he was it's probably the first time he'd run in anger, and then he's really pulled up, and he knows then, I think, and he's almost hoping for a miracle. He thought, here I am in Beijing, this is my moment, this is my time, maybe, hope against hope, it's going to work out. And miracles don't very often happen.
Let me ask you about a few people this morning after that happened, that it became clear to me he wasn't actually favourite to win this. I mean, it's an awful question to ask. I'm not suggesting he's wimped out here at all, because the poor man's devastated, but it's kind of an interesting question, isn't it? Would he rather go out like this or end up letting the nation down by not winning it in the end?
I think he would prefer to be fit and to have run and to have gone against Robles. And we have to remember, Liu Zhang is the Olympic champion, he's the world champion, he won the world indoor title, he performs under pressure. Darren Robles may be the world record holder, but in the world indoors in Valencia, he did 2 false starts and was eliminated, and Liu Zhang wants to win the title. I think if Liu Zhang had been fit, even though on paper he was slower, in my book he still probably could have won it because he would cope well under the pressure.
Well, he did race here, Jonathan, but it was only for a couple of strides. He knew it was all over at this point. And when you think of the reaction in this country, obviously we remember 4 years ago when Paula Radcliffe was favourite for the marathon there, and clearly it was a medical problem which prevented her from achieving her ambition in that race. What do you think the overarching reaction will be? Will it be a sympathetic one from China, or will there be anger about it?
I don't think there'll be any anger. I don't, honestly know how much understanding there will be of what has happened to him and how much information will actually get out. I think there'll just be a deep sense of sadness that they've been built up for 4 years to this moment, and it hasn't happened. And they're probably used to things sort of, happening almost as they've been told they're going to happen, and this clearly hasn't.
But as an athlete, do you get to feel personal guilt about your injury? I mean, it just happens, He shouldn't feel bad in any way, shape or form.
He shouldn't. But do you remember the interview that Paula gave with Steve Cram in Athens? she was crying. She felt she'd let people down. She hadn't let anybody down. But inevitably, you do feel that as an athlete. And of course, we were thinking about, you compare it to sort of Beckham or Rooney. I mean, if Paula Radcliffe has had this problem in London 2012, as it was in Athens, that gives you a scale of what the reaction probably is like here.
Or Cathy Freeman.
Or Cathy Freeman in 2000.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think the impact's going to be on the rest of the athletics programme now that he's gone?
I think from a Chinese point of view, it will become anticlimactic. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think they're the most knowledgeable crowd in the world. They sort of obviously Usain Bolt, everybody can appreciate that. But generally, they haven't seen a huge amount of athletics, and this was the main focus. I think for the rest of the world watching, they'll look forward to some of the exciting events to come. But here, for the host nation, I think it will be a bit anticlimactic.
Can we look at the triple jump now? Obviously, there's a great British medal hope here, but just tell us how the qualification worked. How many entrants are there into the triple jump?
There was about, I think, 40 this morning, and what the organisers are looking for is 12 athletes in the final. So they look at previous games, they look at the world rankings, and they set a distance which I think will be achievable by 4 or 5 athletes.
Which is 17 metres.
17 metres in 10. And then the rest of the athletes will fight it out for the remaining 4 or 5 places.